Hello again, friends. Welcome to Gamecock Central Radio. Baseball report today with Gamecock great Kip Bouknight. I'm Emerson Phillips. Kip, the Gamecocks split a couple of midweek games. They beat Charlotte 5-4 Tuesday night at Founders Park. Alex Destino and Jacob Olson each homered in that ball game. But then yesterday, the Gamecocks came back and gave up a 4-run first inning and lost to Kansas State 6-5. So K-State's won 4 in a row after dropping their first ball game of the season. They're 4-1, and the Gamecocks are 3-2, heading into an important weekend series with a Wright State team that has jumped into the top 25 in the nation now. Wright State took 2 out of 3 from Clemson last week, and they are ranked in the top 25. They are 25th in one of the major college baseball polls this week. So, Kip, give us some of your takeaways from the 2 midweek games this week.
Well, it was really a good win against Charlotte on Tuesday. I mean, you obviously want to win all of your non-conference games, midweek games, especially from you may call them lesser opponents, but, tough loss last night, but, Wright State obviously has a good ball club, taking 2 out of 3 from Clemson, and, I think that we certainly don't want to make a habit of losing these games, but sometimes playing some tight games early on in the year and having those losses now could end up being beneficial for South Carolina down the road. I do still think that the major question mark for me is the hitting and the clutch hitting. And I think obviously we left some runners on base yesterday in scoring position, especially. It's good to play some tight games. Obviously, you want to try to win those games if you can, but I think it's the first time they started off 3-2 since, I believe, my freshman year, 1998. So it has been a long time. I understand there's some Gamecock fans that are frustrated, but there's so much parity in college baseball now. Getting off to a rough start in the first inning was tough. But they're just going to have to continue to battle and play hard, and hopefully they can, at least win the series this weekend.
Okay, and both Gamecock starters in these 2 midweek games made their first career starts. It was Sawyer Bridges, freshman from Summerville, South Carolina, getting the start Tuesday against Charlotte. Destino and Jacob Olson each homered in that game. Gamecock scored 5 runs in the first 5 innings. Senior right-hander Coley Bowers from Lexington was the winning pitcher. His first win of the season, picked up the win in relief with 2 scoreless innings of work, struck out 1, walked none. And junior right-hander Tyler Johnson closed it out with 1 1/3 innings, 2 strikeouts to earn his first save of the season. Gamecocks took a 1-0 lead in the bottom of the first without a hit. T.J. Hopkins scored the run for South Carolina. Charlotte tied it at 1 in the top of the second, and then Olson homered to give Carolina a 2-1 lead in the bottom of the second. Charlotte took a 3-2 lead with a 2-run top of the third, and the Gamecocks scored 3 runs in the bottom of the fifth. Destino, the 2-run home run to put South Carolina in front, and the Gamecocks won it 5-4. 8 of the 9 South Carolina starters had at least 1 hit in this ball game on Tuesday. So Carolina took Wednesday off, and they were back at it on Thursday. K-State scored 4 runs in the top of the first inning, Kip. Gamecock starter John Park walked the first 2 batters, and they would both come around to score, and 2 more Kansas State runners would score in that first inning. Park did not make it out of the first inning. Again, his first career start. 2/3 of an inning, 4 runs on 3 hits, 3 walks, and 1 strikeout. Destino homered for the second straight game. This one coming in the bottom of the third, a 2-run shot to cut it to 4-2. K-State added a 2-run homer to left in the top of the fourth to increase their lead to 6-2. The Gamecocks would load the bases in the bottom of the fourth with nobody out and only got 1 run. Madison Stokes scoring on a double play ball, and Stokes again contributing in the bottom of the fifth with an RBI double down the left field line. L.T. Tolbert added an RBI single in the bottom of the fifth. Stokes had a career-high 3 hits. Gamecocks lost it 6-5. And, Kip, you mentioned South Carolina loaded the bases 3 times with 1 out or less and just couldn't score any runs. Kip couldn't deliver timely hits against Kansas State.
Well, that obviously is a concern, and that's certainly what ultimately ended up costing them the game yesterday. But, Coach Holbrook, I know, is addressing that, and they're going to have some good practices where they're put in those situations and, applying that pressure in practice to make sure those guys are good, relaxed, and comfortable when that time comes in the game. But that's it. The ingredient to winning a lot in baseball is good pitching, good defense, and timely hitting. I think that is going to be the recipe. I just do not think South Carolina has the bats throughout the order up and down the lineup to be able to go out and just sit back and wait on the 2 or 3 run homer. Obviously, Defino has that pop. There's some other guys that certainly have some pop, but we're going to need those other guys to come up big and execute. You know, there's nothing wrong with a couple sack flies or the infield playing back or down ball to short and getting that guy in. I mean, they're going to definitely have to work on executing and doing that. And you know, sometimes you have to tip the cap to the pitcher. Maybe those pitchers made really good pitches in this situation. So I've certainly been on the side of being the pitcher with bases loaded, no outs or 1 out. And if I can limit that damage to 1 out, that's certainly what you want to do. So it's one game. I know South Carolina fans are a little upset. They're 3-2. They've lost a couple 1-run games. And, you know, it'd be different if they were going out and just playing terrible, making errors like crazy and not looking prepared to play. But they got off to a bad start. You know, I do look for John Parton to be a definite arm that South Carolina's going to need down the stretch. I think he just probably was a little bit nervous. Obviously, starting off with 2 walks is certainly something that I know will be addressed. And, you know, this pitching staff just has to trust their stuff and take the contact. I mean, that's the main thing for me is these pitchers have to. I mean, this is a lefty throwing 92, 94, and he needs to trust his stuff and pound the zone, especially early, and make him put the ball in play.
So a couple of 1-run games for the Gamecocks this week, a winner Tuesday over Charlotte, but a loser to Kansas State yesterday. Kansas State will stay in the Midlands. They're going to play 3 games this weekend at the Lexington Blowfish Stadium. They've got St. John's here on Friday, and they'll play Liberty Saturday and Sunday over in Lexington County. So an interesting scheduling twist for Kansas State, now 4-1, South Carolina 3-2. And Kip, that was the scuttlebutt this week. You know, after the Gamecocks lost to UNC Greensboro on Sunday 1-0, the Gamecocks only had 4 hits, and the scuttlebutt this week has been, you know, what's going on with the Gamecock offense? Are they going to have enough pop in the lineup this year? But they did wake up the bats a little bit in these 2 midweek games, 5 runs Tuesday and 5 more on Thursday. So, you know, the offense is starting to wake up a little bit. Just couldn't get any timely hits with the bases loaded against K-State, and it cost South Carolina a ball game. So a 3-2 start, Kip. No need for people to push the panic button just yet. We're still very early in this new season, and you know, it just goes to show you how high the bar is set for South Carolina baseball. 2 losses in the first 5 games, and some people are disappointed.
Yeah, and I mean, again, I'm disappointed. Coach Holbrook's disappointed. I'm sure a lot of folks are disappointed. The players are disappointed, but it's not like that is going to make or break their season. I do think, like I said, we have got to, especially come SEC play, we're going to have to score 5 or more runs to win ball games. And I mean, yeah, there are going to be times, I'm sure, where, you know, our starters can win a game 3-2, and that's fine, and that's great. And I think we do have the staff that can do that. But I think down the stretch, for this team to get to Omaha, there are going to be plenty of times where South Carolina backs are going to have to figure out how to manufacture some runs. Hopefully they can get the clutch hitting when they need to. But bottom line, this team can win a lot of games if they can score more than 5 runs a game. And right now, I honestly I don't see it. I hope that that I'm wrong about that. I hope that they can make those adjustments and change. But and you got some guys in the lineup that hit, you know, 240 last year. And I mean, 240 is just, there's a difference in a productive 240 and just a 240. I mean, we've got to have some guys that, you know, can step up and hit really well in the games. And I think that's the biggest question mark. So, you know, I know that some of the pitching hasn't been great in the midweek games at times, but, you know, the bright spot obviously has been the bullpen. The bullpen has done a wonderful job. And the starters, obviously the first 3 starters have done a wonderful job. You couldn't ask for a better weekend results from them this past weekend, giving up 1 run in 3 games. Pretty impressive. So, you know, hopefully the Gamecock bats can come alive, and they need a good weekend this weekend. It'll be a beautiful, beautiful weekend at Carolina Stadium, and hopefully the fans will come out and support. And that's the thing. You know, when you got a home game, you got to make it a home game. And those guys, hopefully the fans are certainly loud and make it tough for Wright State to come in and be confident.
Gamecock Central Radio baseball report today with Gamecock great Kip Bouknight. I'm Emerson Phillips. We hope you'll download the Gamecock Central Radio app. We've got this free phone app that allows you to listen to our podcast on your cell phone, anywhere you receive cell phone service. You can download the app on the App Store and on Google Play, and you can subscribe to our podcasts on iTunes, SoundCloud, and other popular services, or just visit radio.GamecockCentral.com. All right, Kip, let's turn our attention to Wright State, the weekend opponent here for the Gamecocks. Wright State has only played the 3 games against Clemson. They won 6-4 Friday. Clemson came back and beat them 6-2 Saturday. And Wright State broke out the bats, beat Clemson 9-2 up at Doug Kingsmore last Sunday. So no midweek games for Wright State. They're 2-1 on the year. Wright State is located in Dayton, Ohio. And by beating the previously 10th-ranked Tigers 2 out of 3, they jump into the national polls this week at number 25. Kip, they're going to play their first 12 games on the road. And 9 of those games are in the state of South Carolina, and they've got 2 against Gardner-Webb, which is due north of Gaffney, just across the state line. So Wright State getting very familiar with the Palmetto State early in this baseball season. Their first home game will not take place until March the 10th. So, Kip, we see this a lot. These schools from up north in the Midwest, they come down south to play early in the season because it's too cold to play up in Ohio in late February. So Wright State spending some time down in South Carolina this month.
Yeah, they are. And, I mean, that can be tough on their bodies. Being away from home that long is certainly could be an adjustment. But I just think it's important for, the South Carolina starters to get as deep as they can in the game and pitch the contact and just throw a lot of strikes, counter calls, trust their stuff. And, it's obviously Wright State was not scared. They're probably, still on a high. Taking 2 out of 3 from Clemson was certainly impressive. So, it's a situation where I think that home field advantage could certainly vote in South Carolina's favor, and we need the fans to definitely come out and be as excited as the South Carolina players are going to be to play this weekend series, even though they started off 3-2. We don't need much panic right now. We need to, make it tough on the opponent, and hopefully South Carolina can play their best baseball of the season this weekend.
All right, the weather should be perfect. Boy, the weather's been fantastic to start the baseball season here, Kip. Typically we get some cold ball games in February, but a very mild winter. And I would think ball club from Dayton, Ohio, would be thrilled to be coming into play at beautiful Founders Park, such a nice stadium. And with the weather that we've had, that makes it all the better. Same for Kansas State, too, huh?
Oh, I mean, absolutely. I mean, anytime you can play in 70, 80-degree weather, it's amazing, especially when it's in February. So, like I said, those guys, it's the one thing I've noticed since the move from Stars High over to now Founders Park has been that lack of sometimes atmosphere and tough place to play, if you will. I feel like that a lot of the teams coming in, they're already jacked up because they're getting to play at one of the nicest, if not the nicest facility in all of college baseball. So it comes back to the fans. It comes back to them. And some fans may say, well, Kip, you got to give me something to cheer for. And I understand that to a certain extent, but I also have been to the other stadiums in the SEC. I can remember beating LSU in the 9th inning. We were up 3 on Friday night and up 2 on Saturday, and it's the 7th, 8th, 9th inning, and you could not hear yourself sing. Every single time on the mound pitching, when we were hitting, I mean, it was just, you talk about a tough environment, and it wasn't just LSU. There's plenty of other places, Mississippi State, Arkansas, Alabama. Florida was never really a tough place to play. They didn't have much of an atmosphere, but obviously they had great talent. But that's where, it's important for our fans to truly make it a tough place to play. And, I've said that in the years past, and it makes a huge difference, especially in college baseball.
Great crowds at Founders Park last weekend, 24,501, the official attendance for the 3 games against UNC Greensboro. Good crowds this week with the nice weather, and we figured to have big crowds again this weekend for a Wright State team that is a real up-and-comer. I don't think a lot of folks saw them taking 2 out of 3 from Clemson. They've jumped into the top 25 in the nation now, and they're a happy, excited, and hungry ball club coming into Columbia with a chance to take on their second nationally ranked opponent in a row and try to do some damage on the road. So great non-conference opponent for the Gamecocks this weekend. Schmidt, Crow, and Hill, your weekend starters for the Gamecocks. We got a 7 o'clock first pitch Friday, 4 o'clock start Saturday, and a 1:30 first pitch Sunday. Start times Friday and Saturday moved to accommodate Gamecock fans and to facilitate their interest in seeing the Gamecock basketball game tomorrow. Gamecock men's basketball taking on Tennessee at 1 at the CLA. And a lot of fans will catch the shuttle over to Founders Park for this 4 o'clock first pitch with Wright State. So, Kip, a good weekend on tap and a good opponent with a real tough non-conference schedule this year. So, big weekend for Gamecock baseball here in the capital city. Thank you, Kip.
Yes, sir. Thank you. And go Gamecock.
All right, that's Gamecock great Kip Bouknight, and I'm Emerson Phillips. We'll come back next week and talk more Gamecock baseball with you here on Gamecock Central Radio. Thanks for being with us.